with the grace of God on your side, there is nothing impossible. God makes a way for his people, and you do your best, work as hard as you can, do what you need to do, and God will help you to get to where you need to get. So that's it. I will still share more along the line as we respond to questions. Thank you. Bro Wisdom, over to you, please.
Okay, thank you, Nkechi Nadi. Definitely she would get to answer more questions as time goes on. I believe we have a lot of questions, even while on the Google form. Yeah, I saw a couple of questions that people were asking, and I shared them with the panelists, and they would be around to answer all of your questions. Yeah, so at this time we go over to Okay, thank you. Okay. Sorry, am I clear? Like it's my can we hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope everyone can hear me clearly.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we
I
can
can
hear
hear you.
Okay. Hi everyone. If you hear any background noises, just ignore that. There's some construction going on around here. My name is Uzamaka Ndukabo. You could just call me Uzi. I am currently doing my PhD at Aston University in the UK, and my PhD is in economics, but I am focused on international trade. So I did my undergraduate studies in University of Port Harcourt, and I did economics in University of Port Harcourt. Finished from University of Port Harcourt with a first class, and then I went on to do my master's at the University of Nottingham here in the UK as well. Yeah, that's one of the construction noises, so sorry about that. So I did my master's in econometrics, which is a field of economics. Finished that with a distinction, and then about 6 months later, I started my PhD. And so the process for me, just like the same as Nkechi, has been a lot of online searching and a lot of Googling, because I think that's almost half of the process. Um, I had applied to several schools in different countries. So I had written the GRE like she did. I wrote the TOEFL, the English exams, and then for me, funding was really important, both for my master's and for my PhD. So I spent a lot of time checking different schools and checking their websites to see what scholarships they had available and if I was eligible for those. And also checked, third parties that offered scholarships to people from African countries. And yeah, so I just methodologically walked my way through different schools' websites, just checking what was available and applying to those. The entire process, well, for me, my journey was different from Nkechi's journey, because in the sense that I didn't really have a lot of waiting period between each part of my study. It was more or less back to back. But yeah, I think what I can say mostly is that there is a lot of grinding work. You have to just put in that time to do the search and see what's out there and what you can apply for and how you can go about it and what you need. Yeah, but I guess we'll answer more questions as we go along. Thank you. Wisdom, over to you again.
Okay, thank you, Zoma Kanduka. So we have Osilaja Dare. So he would also tell us about his story, and I think he has a slide presentation to share to us. So over to you, Dare.
Okay, thank you, Wisdom. So, just a moment. I'm going to share my slide, and I'm doing this because I will not be around probably for the questions as others. So I'm just going to cover everything at a goal. So, peradventure, if you have any question, you can just my contacts are with Wisdom, so you can just get to me through him. So just give me a few moments as I set up. So there's so too much to know about me anyways. My name is Dario Silaja, and I graduated from Nasarawa State University. That was 2016 in mathematics. And then in 2017, I had my new service in Ibadan, and to 2018, although I was actually retained at my PPA, so I had some few months while working there. So I got a scholarship to the African School for Mathematical Science in Ghana. Sorry, I just have to bring these slides on because it's very important for my discussion. So just a few moments, please. Okay. Okay. So here we go. So I got my first fully funded scholarship in 2018 to the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences. And these are the other scholarships I also got. So quickly, just I have to put this here. Probably there's somebody that probably is applying for one of these scholarships. You can just reach out to me. So at IMS Ghana, the Mastercard Foundation scholarship was like an inbuilt. It wasn't what you apply for at the onset. When you get to Ghana, and then there is this internal recruitment that goes on, and few among the scholars were selected. So I was also selected, and I happened to be the representative for Ghana. And also this other scholarship is Math Mode, and also Intermath. So Matmut slash Intermath, two separate scholarships, but they are together. Kind of does this collaboration with Erasmus, and this is IDEX Lyon, which was in France, and it was like they call it M2. In France Balance, they have M1 for masters, which is for 10 months, and they have M2 for the concluding part of the M1 for the master. So I got M2, which was kind of like you're going to use 4 months in the class and the other months in the industry. You're going to carry out your research at the industry. And this is the Polish government scholarship, which is called NAVA. Yeah, W is usually pronounced V, so don't mind me. I'm kind of used to the alphabets now. So this is the Polish government scholarship, which I also got in Poland, and that was where I went to. I didn't go to Math Mode. I didn't go to IDES Lyon because of their program was not that fully funded to say. You have to pay administration fee for Math Mode, and IDES Lyon, it came very late, and so I kind of opted out for the NAVA. So before I talk more quickly, I just want to put this across by Isaac Newton. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. And sometimes these giants are on the Google, like the two speakers have spoken, that they went to Google and search. Those informations were actually put out by experienced people, those people that had probably passed through the same process or had more, they have robust experience. So it is very important to leverage on people's knowledge. So I'm going to be touching scholarships in Europe. So basically, scholarships in Europe, they are offered by organizations, foundation, charities, etc. Maybe Commonwealth, Chevening, and all that. And also you have the scholarships being offered by the universities, and then the European government scholarships, which one of the popular one is the Erasmus. And also we have the DAAD for the Germans. So and just to add to this, the European countries, some countries have scholarships. For example, like the Polish government scholarship, we have the I think the Swedish government scholarship. You have so many scholarships that the government also offers, and they are doing this so that they can integrate international students into their countries. Before I move further, I just want to tell you that I have gotten so much rejections, and even as I'm talking to you, I don't remember any because they don't matter. The most important thing is the acceptance that I got. So maybe in this journey, you probably get knocked off sometimes. You may be tired. You may like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to tell you that when you quit, you can't win. So for you to win, just only one scholarship is enough. You have to keep doing what you are doing. You have to keep applying. You don't need to give up, but it's not going to be wise to keep applying using the same method over and over. Like I think the first speaker said she took note of some important things, and then we make adjustments, subsequent applications. So now, how do we get into these European countries through scholarships? I'm going to just list a few things. Okay, so I put out this kind of flow chart just to capture the whole process. The second speaker said you do a lot of grinding because I think a lot of us, we sometimes think, okay, when we talk about scholarship opportunities, they meant just come and have your own scholarship, like it's going to be handed over to you like a piece of cake. But I just want to tell you that it takes a lot of work. You have to do a lot of search. You have to, sometimes it's tiring, sometimes it can be disappointing, sometimes you can, like, you want to give up, but you just have to, since you know what you want, you just have to continue. So I'm going to walk you through this flow chart quickly. DYOR is like do your own research. And I said, when you have done your own research and you are clear, like all the requirements, everything you need for the application, you have them well spelled out, then you move forward to apply. You have to be clear of the requirement, the essay and all that, the recommendation. Some schools don't need recommendation, some school needs recommendation. You have to be clear on that. But when you are not clear, that is no, you either go back to your research and do more searching on Google. And you can also talk to somebody, maybe the person, maybe a present student, an ex-student of that scholarship, it's a scholar, or probably you can write to the graduate coordinator or people that are in charge. A lot of people miss out on this because I don't think it's scary to write to them. Just write to them, ask them for, maybe just ask them any information, important information. They are willing to provide that, And after talking to either an ex-scholar, a present scholar, or the graduate coordinator, and you are still not clear, then you go back again, you talk to them, and probably you're still not clear, then you go back and do your research. So, but when you are clear, you can now move forward to apply. So Also, probably when you them, ask them for tips and all that. So this is very important because a lot of times there are so many programs for scholarships. There are so many videos on YouTube for scholarships, and we have people that have stayed back maybe for 5 years, 6 years. Like they are not really getting that scholarship. Just look, I think there's something they're not doing right. Oh, yeah, I would say that not everyone, but most people, there's things we are not doing right. So you have to go through some process. You have to do some grinding. So I move further. General tips quickly. I've spoken to a lot of people. They tell me I want to apply for scholarship. Please, can you help me? And I say, okay, good. Do you have your passport? Unfortunately, I will hear it's quite funny because these are the prerequisites, the requirements. You have to get your passport ready. Your transcript, you have to get it from your school on time. Your certificates, every certificate that you need, you have to get it on time. Your CV, academic CV is quite different from the industrial CV. You have to know those differences. You have to get that ready. And also apply early. You should avoid procrastination except when condition warrants it. I know I applied for 2 scholarships at maybe 1 minute to the deadline, I think, because I was busy, I was in school, and I wanted to finish my task. I want to apply for scholarship. So I had to press the send button at probably 1 minute to the deadline. And I want to also add that you don't get scholarship for the scholarship you didn't apply for. No matter how good you are, no matter how prayerful you can be, you can't get scholarship for the scholarship you didn't apply for. So whatever you have, maybe close to the deadline, your SOP is not that good, just send it, than waiting for it to pass and then you can't apply anymore. So check university website, very, very important. So many good information on their website. And also, where other people miss out is interpreting the requirements. Scholarships have different requirements. So scholarships try to project grades. When you have good grades, yes, they want you. So scholarships project leadership. So scholarship projects your give back experience like that of MasterCard. So you have to interpret the requirements. You have to interpret what the essay they ask you to write, what are they asking you for? You have to interpret it, you have to understand the key points, and also get someone to read your application. I remember when I was applying for Erasmus, I was already in one application, I was like, oh, I can do this, I've gotten a scholarship. But I sent my SOP to an Erasmus student from Kenya. And he didn't say much, he just sent me his SOP, and I saw what he wrote. Oh my God. I told myself, if I am of the scholarship people, the board of directors or whatsoever, the people that are in charge of making decisions, I'm going to choose him before me because his SOP was very simple, was direct to the point. It was not fake. A lot of people write fake SOP. You can see it very clearly because some stories are too good to be true. So get someone to read your application, your SOP, your essay, and then you have to manage your time. I believe other scholars, we see this as one of the crucial things in pursuing scholarship. You have to manage your time. Very, very important. Then quickly, I want to quickly stress out the reasons why people are not really getting the scholarship. I've made some research. I've spoken to a lot of people, people that had first class, and they're still back in Nigeria. And I was just wondering why. And number one, I call it single story. So single story is like you're holding on to a particular opinion. You didn't do your research. You didn't try to ask another person. There was no an alternative. So like probably maybe option one, you get to hear that GRE and TOEFL is a must for you to get into the USA universities. This is not true because there are so many people in the universities there without GRE, without TOEFL. So, but writing these standardized exams just increase your chances. So a lot of people, when I call them, why are you not putting in applications? I was told my GRE, I have to write GRE, I'm not having money and all that and all that. And a lot of schools even prefer, they are comfortable with the WAEC, your WAEC, they are comfortable with it. A lot of people are stuck with single story, no research, not talking to the graduate coordinator and all that and all that. Another thing I found out in people is that they're quite lazy. When I talk to people, okay, can you kindly go to this URL and check for the scholarships? I get people telling me, no, please, can you tell me the specific website? Can you please, if it was possible, they want me to apply for them. So a lot of people, they don't want to go through the hard work. They just want to get the scholarship on a platter of food. Yeah, it's possible, but you have to pick up. And also the basics, very important. The basics. Knowing the basics is very, very important. Knowing the difference between resume and CV is something that should be at the tips of your finger. Knowing how to write a cold email. Knowing the difference between the cover letter, the motivational letters, and SOPs, something that there are resources on the internet. So it's not really ideal that we come here and start telling you, okay, you have to write the SOP. And probably when you are not maybe understanding a particular part, then maybe that is where you need help. I review a master student's SOP, which is a class in mathematics. And when I started reading sorry, I'm kind of distracted by the speaker that is on.
Yeah, please kindly mute your mic. Epundu Ifeanyi, please kindly mute your mic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, so I was reading, I read this SOP, first class mathematics, very good with the figures. But the SOP was kind of having, by the special grace of God, I finished my BSc in something and all that. By the special grace of it was like a sermon. So you just wonder that, oh, if a first class student should know something like it, but probably he wasn't aware, he hasn't done some little research. So you have to do some of this basic research. You have to know the difference between the cover letter, the motivational letter, and the SOPs. So, and some people use flowery words, like they are writing poetry. When they write the SOP, they are trying to use some figure of speech, some figurative expression, and these are not necessarily needed. Just state your point and go straight to what they ask you to do. So now, just quick summary, because some of the questions that was raised, for example, can somebody with third class get a scholarship? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna maybe try to pat you on the back, try to say some motivational quotes and all that. To be very sincere with you, grades are very important in scholarship, but they are not everything. So with third class, you can still get a scholarship, but some people with third class, what they did was that they kind of explain, okay, while I was in school, I had third class because I was sick, I had financial challenges and all that. While others try to amend for these low grades, probably by going for postgraduate or something, those people in more of practical courses like computer, they had to go for extra courses outside the school environment. So grades matter a lot. It's not everything, but it matters a lot because some scholarship does not really project that the grades. They kind of talk about your leadership experience, kind of talk about your give back activity, the LGDP goals and all that, but they may not say anything about grades, but they are considering, they are looking at the grades also. Some European countries are tuition free. For example, Norway, you can go there, tuition free, but you have to fend for yourself, accommodation, feeding, etc. Some courses have different names in Europe. You know, some people are like looking for, I'm looking for industrial chemistry. I have to look for industrial chemistry. Sometimes there's no industrial chemistry per se in their courses over here. Because for example, when I came in, you know, my school has applied mathematics, and under applied mathematics, we have data science, we have application of mathematics to commerce, we have financial mathematics and natural sciences. And a lot of people, they are not aware of this. Just when we got the admission that we got to know that, oh, we have different sections. So some of your courses are not really named what you know them as in Nigeria. They kind of transform. You know, when you get to Europe, probably a lot of things change, and even the courses change also. Also, almost all PhD admission in Poland is on scholarship. So when I don't want to say all, because I don't want to shoot myself on the leg, but I think almost all PhD admission in Poland is on scholarship. So when you get admitted to Poland for PhD, you get stipend throughout your time of studies. And the last one is that know what you want in this life. You know, part of the questions where somebody said, "Oh, how do my academic, I can't really remember, but kind of saying academic journey, you have to know what you want in this life." A lot of first class students that were like, you know, eager, why they left Nigeria, they wanted to be a lecturer, they wanted to go for PhD, they wanted to become a professor. As I'm talking to you now, they are working in the industry, because probably the mentality they had in Nigeria was like a survivor mentality. And when they came to Poland, came to Europe, a lot of things changed. They just say, "Oh, I think I'm not cut out for this stress. Academics is stressful. I don't want to sit down for research. I want to make money." And then they just cut it off from masters, and now they're in the industry. They don't want to hear anything about the academic. So you have to know what you want in life. This is very, very important. You have to know what you want in life. If you want to go for, you know, a lot of people in Nigeria go for PhD because they want to be called doctor. That is not a good reason. A lot of people go for PhD because they try to oppress others. You know, I am a PhD student, and I'm a doctor, and you're just a BSc holder. These are not good reasons. So know what you want for your life. So I think I'm gonna be dropping off here. Thank you for listening. I dropped a site with the moderator just for you to check out for some scholarships in Europe, in Poland. So if there are any questions, please refer to the moderator and we'll get back to me. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Darius Stilaja, for your presentation. That was a great one out there. Yeah, do we have Nwosu Joseph? Are you on this call? Okay, I think Nwosu Joseph is one of our panelists. I think he's yet to join us. He's not on this call at the moment. Also, we have James Oyetoro. He's equally not on this call at the moment. So I think so far, I would be opening the floor for questions while we await the arrival of the other two panelists. I think I would love to entertain questions from maybe what has been said so far. I actually got some more questions from the Google form I sent out. A lot of people were asking questions. Okay, I think we should look at those questions before we before we come to the questions? Okay, maybe, okay, let's give room for questions now. So let people ask their questions. We'll still go back to those ones we gathered from the Google form. So I don't know, are there people that have questions already that may want to ask the panelists as they are here? Because I know some of them may not be able to stay till the end of the Zoom call. And I think we should start with questions that you might want to direct to any of the panelists at this time. So let me know. I think you can raise your hand. If you want to speak, you can raise your hand. Okay, I'm seeing some people already raising up their hands. Okay, so Solomon, please pardon me if I cannot pronounce your surname, but if I call you, please, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Solomon.
Yeah, thank you very much for the program. I was really blessed by it. I would like to ask, because I gained admission to 2 institutions. Are there some like organizations or grant-giving organizations that I can actually apply to get me grant for the sponsorship? I've gotten the admissions already. I had 2, both in the UK, University of Manchester and Bedford. That's all.
Okay, so is there any of the panelists that may want to answer that question?
Yeah, I could help with the question.
Okay, go ahead.
So when you say if with grants, it's hard for me to really understand what you mean, because a grant is different from a scholarship. A grant is like for a particular project, if that makes sense. So for instance, you have a particular project in mind and then you are applying for a grant for that project. Is that what you mean?
Actually not. Like a sponsorship, let me put it that way, not really a grant. I've applied already and I was given admission, though I thought it was going to be full scholarship. So I was given a waiver. Like one of it, I was meant to pay about £50,000, but I was given a waiver of £3,000.
Okay. All right. So what you're looking for then is like sponsorship or a scholarship, but one that is not given by the university that has given you the admission, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, for the UK, there are some organizations that, offer scholarships not tied to a university. I think the most popular one, you must have heard of it, would be Chevening. And there is the Commonwealth Scholarship as well. These are the popular ones. Aside from those, there are some charity organizations or some private individuals that also have foundations, and in this sense you have to search them out yourself. What course are you doing?
Applied geophysics.
Geophysics, so in the sciences. Yeah, so in the sciences it is possible to find some charity organizations or some private individuals that have foundations that sponsor. So sometimes people from sub-Saharan African countries, and then you apply to them directly. You tell them exactly the amount that has been offered to you by your university. If you have any of your savings that can come in and what the shortfall is, it's usually quite competitive, but they are available.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Uzomaka. So we also have someone else that is raising up his hand. That question. Okay, you can unmute yourself. Emmanuel, over to you. I think you're raising up your hand. I can see your hands. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity and for the speakers. I mean, I've gained a lot of insight. So I have 2 questions. And the first question is, how do you determine other factors aside, the academic factors in deciding the school? So for example, you want to go for a PhD program, factors like the city you have to live in, factors like how accredited or the quality of the PhD program in that school, factors around maybe weather and the like. So I'm saying this because for those of us in Nigeria, an example is assuming we have an interest in, say, schooling in the US or in the UK. For those of us who have not left Nigeria, the best we know is the information we have online, right? And it's like thinking of somebody who is based in Kenya, right? And says he wants to school in Nigeria. He doesn't know how UNILAG looks like versus Osun State University versus Kebbi State University. He doesn't know how, the environment within Benin looks like. So for us, it is more like we're only just working with the academic information available, online. So how do we determine other information that would help us guide our decision? Like I said, thoughts around location, how quality the program is, because I've been in a situation where someone said he got an admission and the PhD program was not so quality, or it could be where the weather is so harsh or where it is the countryside and the likes. So that's number one. Number two is for Dari, who spoke about scholarships in Poland. I read about information, where it was stated that in some countries the racism is very high, particularly in some places in Europe. So how do you manage that? So those are my two questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emmanuel, for your question. I think you've mentioned Osilara. Dare, sorry, you've mentioned Dare. And I think you can start, you can begin to answer your question. Yeah, Dare.
Okay, Emmanuel, that was a very good question. You know, I'll put an illustration across. You see, when I pass through a particular road when it is raining, I tend to tell people that on every day that road is wet. So a lot of people saying things about racism, that is like a single story. I'm not going to shut out the fact that there's kind of a little bit of this marginalization, but it's not as pronounced as people, say it, especially in Poland, because as far as I'm concerned, we work together. But just to add this, because sometimes when people tell you stories, they are talking from their own perspective, which is okay. But I try to talk to other people as well. So to be very sincere with you, I had an experience. There was this particular course I did, and with my other colleagues, two Nigerians, and the lecturer, the professor, she kind of have a kind of bar that these Black people cannot go beyond this mark. People that were before us, they had the same issue. I didn't know until I spoke to them. She kind of marked the exam in a way that it looks a bit technical. She takes 2 marks away from somebody just to add it maybe in number 4. She takes 1 mark from me somewhere just to add it somewhere, just oppose the whole thing to be confused, but I could detect it and I approached that. Look, this is obvious that there's some foul play here, but she started arguing and I had to just give it. So generally, racism is not pronounced, but it exists. So you just have to overlook some things and just move on with your life. Thank you. And somebody is asking, I forgot to add this. A lot of people always think HND students have to go through postgraduate and all that. Probably I thought like that. I thought that way also. But when I came to Poland, because like my school is called Polytechnical, it's not like Polytechnic, in Nigeria. Every technical school in Poland is called Polytechnical. So HND students are here doing their masters without any postgraduate, without just have a good grade, have a good research proposal, then you are in. One and you are in. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I think it's the first question that is left.
Okay. Okay, the first question. Okay, do we have any other speaker who may want to take the first question? I think he was asking about
Yeah.
okay.
I think I'll just say a little bit about that in terms of kind of choosing other factors to consider aside the school. So you mentioned like what city to go to, things like that. Sometimes there are people that write blogs about this and be like, okay, this is the ranking of cities, sometimes based on the cost of the city. So I'll give you, for instance, here in the UK, people know that London is expensive. So coming from Nigeria, some people will be like, okay, I don't want to school in London, but this happened to a friend of mine recently. He got admission into Cambridge. Cambridge is almost as expensive as London as a city. But he didn't know that because he thought that as long as it's not London, then it wouldn't be that expensive. But Cambridge is really pricey. So there are blogs that rank cities according to how friendly they are to international students, or how cheap the city is, or in terms of working opportunities for students. So you can easily find this information depending on the country anyway. But I'm speaking, exclusively for the UK. The bigger the city, for the UK, the closer it is to London, the more expensive. But the bigger the city, the more opportunities you might have to work part-time as a student, or the smaller the city, could be that is a much more student-friendly place, and so cost of living might be lower. But honestly, there's really nothing you cannot find if you just search. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you so much. It does.
Okay, then you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much, Zomaka. Do we have any other person that wants to ask a question? Yeah, I think I saw one of the questions on the chat which has been answered already, talking about HND graduates, how they could get admissions abroad. And I think to add to that also, I think one of the posts I saw on a blog, the person was talking about HND graduates. Maybe they want to school in any country. What you could do is you pass your certificates, pass your transcripts through ways. I believe we all know ways. I was waiting for responses.
Yeah, WES was evaluation.
Yeah, WES. So you could pass your transcripts through ways. So when you pass it through ways, you would be able to get an equivalent grading of your whatever you graduated with in your HND. And with that, you would be able to use it to match, to check up if that WES evaluation has been able to, if what you got in the WES evaluation has been able to match up with the school you are trying to apply to. I think most of those schools are in UK, sorry, in Canada, in US, they accept WES evaluation. In fact, I believe many countries accept WES evaluation. So by the time you pass your HND result through WES evaluation and you send it to the schools, I think it can give you greater chances of getting admission to do your graduate studies. Yeah. Okay. So are there more questions? Is there any other person that would like to ask any other question? Okay, so in the absence of none for now, we gathered some questions, like I said, from the Google form. And I think I'll just read through them. And as I read, the panelists could just give an answer to the questions. Yeah, okay. So let's take the first question. Okay, someone asked, as a final year student, what are the graduate scholarships available to apply for? Another person asked, what scholarships are available for doctors? I think we could take those two questions together. Um, yeah, Uzomaka, I think those questions were assigned to you.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of what scholarships are available to graduate students, you see that question in itself is quite broad because there are different scholarships that are available to different fields. So for instance, people in STEM, engineering, mathematics, people in sciences, they would have scholarships that are tailored just for them. People in arts, people in social sciences would have scholarships tailored for them. Now there are big organizations that have scholarships that's like, come for everyone. And that's organizations like, Commonwealth, PTDF. No, PTDF I think is even to petroleum and engineering people. But Commonwealth, Chevening would have, if you, as long as you've gotten admission to a university, then you can apply to this scholarship. It's not specific. So I would say what I said, what we've said before. I think all panelists have said this, which is in the sense that the student has to do a lot of the groundwork, which is set what is available to not just people from your country, but your field as well, because some fields are so niche that they might have something that's just for them. And some fields are so broad that, they can kind of fit into other places if they tweak their statements a little bit. So for doctors, I don't particularly know what's out there for specifically doctors, but I'm sure there would be scholarships either offered by the schools or by other organizations that covers the medical field. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Uzomaka. So, yeah, Nkechi, you would have to take some questions here. Um, okay, you would take this. How can a person effectively write a statement of purpose? And you could combine it with the second question, that is, what are the ways to win a research assistantship quickly?
Okay. So about the first question, writing a statement of purpose, you want to, first of all, it's not a document to write in a hurry. So you want to give time for you to brainstorm, put down ideas, and then after you make the first draft, you come back again and again to edit and review it until you have the best version of the statement of purpose, which you will use for applications. So you want to brainstorm on the things that have, first of all, look at the school or schools you are applying to. They might have some specific requirements for the SOP. They want you to talk about some certain things in your life. They want you to address some topics, some particular points. Make sure to always address the particular specific topic. And in fact, the SOP you send to one school might be different from another. You might just have one master document from which you now edit and adjust to the specifics of any school you are applying to. So know what they want you to include and make sure to include all of those things because those are what they will be looking for when they're reviewing your application. Then brainstorm and put down your ideas, how you will frame your question. Think about things you have done through school, both in class and outside of class, extracurricular activities, research activities, or anything that will help job and work experience during the IT or CWS period, anything that helps, or people who in your life that have helped you, influenced you up until the point where you are. Put down all these things and then find how to fit them into your statement of purpose. Also, I would recommend you use this website called grammarly.com. Grammarly.com, just the spelling of grammar, Grammar, then Ly, grammarly.com. So that website will help you to do some grammar check on your work. And I think it's free of charge. You can upload your essay there. There's a free version that you can actually use just to get rid of grammatical errors, because you don't want to send anything. You don't want to, I mean, sometimes Nigerian English is not correct English. You need good grammar because it's a formal document. So use grammarly.com. I think there are alternatives as well to Grammarly, but make sure the grammar in your work is correct and well formed. Then make sure to abide by the length requirements, page length, or the number of words that the school you're applying to would want you to stick to. And also send it to reviewers. You don't, when I was doing mine, I sent it to about 8 or so people at different times. So I'll send it to one person, they will read and make their edits, and I will implement them, and then either send it back to that person or to someone else for more improvement. So you want to have a second eye, at least, to look at your work different from you. And you want to, like I said, over a period of time, keep working on it. By the time you sleep on it or wait, a week or so, and then go back to it, you might remember something you didn't include the first time that you can include or improve upon, and then, frame your statement of purpose. And like Dara said earlier, there are different statements. So a statement of purpose is different from a personal statement. A personal statement is different from a statement of research. In fact, there are like a number of statements that you might be asked for. So whichever one it is, make sure that's what you're writing. Don't submit a statement of research in place of a personal statement. So know what the school is requiring, take your time to do it, and then, have reviewers to review it for you. So those are what I would say about the statement of purpose. If I remember anything more, I will still mention it. The second question was, please, could you remind me what the second question was?
Yeah, so the person asked, how can I get a research assistantship quickly?
Oh, yes. Okay. So for graduate assistantships, usually you apply at the same time you're applying for admission. And it depends on the school. They have different procedures for how they do it. Some schools will tell you your application for admission is the same as the application for an assistantship. So if they are admitting you, they are automatically giving you an assistantship. Some other schools want you to apply for that one separately, fill another form or submit to some email or something. So you follow the procedure for the school, search their website. Usually they have a tab or a section on the website about funding sources and assistantships. So look at those and then look at the requirements. Usually they want you to have some kind of prior teaching experience, which could come in form of tutorials you have taught before, or you have interacted with your colleagues before and in a study group session, or you've done some public speaking of some nature, or the nature of your work as well. So all of those things will help you in addition to knowing the subject matter very well. So the course or whatever you're applying for, you need to also be knowledgeable in that area. Since you're going to be teaching it, you need to know it, and also have some of the teaching experience. Although not compulsory, but it is helpful. It helps you to stand out among other applicants, the teaching experience. So, and then the process varies from school to school. So you follow whatever the school is, their laid down procedure for applying for assistantships. So that's what I would say about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Nkechi, for that. So I think summarily about the statement of purpose. She talked about having a second eye on your SS. So that means on your application journey, one of the things you would learn to do if you're not already good at it, you would need to learn how to write essays, because you're going to be writing a couple of essays, statements of purpose, personal statement, essays on leadership, essays on volunteering, professional essays, and all of that. So it's important to begin to learn how to write essays. And I recently made a video on writing a perfect statement of purpose. Is actually on my channel, which I would share the link before this Zoom meeting is finished. So actually, Nkechi was one of the people that helped me while I was writing statement of purpose. I remember, I think maybe 2 years ago or so, when she was still in Nigeria, I knew she had gone ahead of me, and it's a part I was towing. So I decided to, after writing my essay, I contacted her if I could send it to her to look at it. And of course, she was available to do that. And if I look at my statement of purpose from when I started in around 2017 up until this time, you would discover that there's so much difference, in fact. And from the statement of purpose I've been writing, I've been able to get admissions into different universities in different countries with different amounts of funding. So getting someone to have a second eye on your essays cannot be overemphasized. And also, the speakers, like I said, they are ready, or they are open for reviews. You know, if you write your essays, probably you are applying to a particular school or a particular scholarship body, and you would need a second eye on your essay. So you could always reach out to me. I would drop the grad scholar email here, so you would be able to see it. You could always reach out to me via that email, so I can get your essays across to any of the panelists at this time. Yeah. So okay, Kate, you are raising up your hand. So
Yes, I wanted to quickly add that if you're applying for a position with a graduate assistantship, you want to also mention something about the teaching experience in your statement of purpose, or any statement you're going to be submitting, maybe the personal statement. That statement of purpose is your chance to explain yourself like you would do in an interview. So different from your CV and other documents that you have submitted, letters of recommendation and stuff. That's your own chance to speak for yourself and, explain yourself and prove that you are this candidate that they need to consider seriously. So use that as your voice in the application process. Thank you.
okay, thank you so much, Kechi. So we have one of our panelists who just joined us a few minutes ago, and would love him to introduce himself and give us a few words before we proceed. So James Oyetoro, can we have you now? Thank you.
Thank you, Wisdom. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon and good morning or good evening, wherever you are. Sorry for joining in late. I just came out of a class, and I take this opportunity so important, and that's why I just have to rush out of the class to come and join and share my little story and see how I can be of help and assistance to each and every one of us. So, as I said, my name is James Femi Toro. I had my bachelor's in University of Ibadan, mechanical engineering. I graduated 2016, and I proceeded to the compulsory NYSC, which I did for 1 year. But prior to that time, I had already made up my mind. I was going to seek an advanced degree outside the shores of Nigeria. So my final year, I started planning and preparing on how I was going to go about this journey of securing admission, as well as a source of funding, because I know I don't have the financial capability to pay such huge amounts of money. My final year, I think I took my test of English test, and during my NYC, I took my GRE. And some other things that helped me was I was able to know all these at a very early stage of my undergraduate studies. So as far back as 300 level, I was already engaged in doing some form of research. And that research I did up until I left Nigeria for the United States. And the reason why I'm dropping all these vital points is because all this is going to culminate to help you in pursuing an advanced degree, especially if you are looking out for some form of funding. So I don't know, this might be kind of too late for some people, or this might just be at the right time, but at any point of your life, you are taking a project. For example, you have to submit a final year project. Try as much as possible, if you can publish those projects in journals. At this point, it might not be like a huge one with very high impact factor, but as much as possible, just get it into an academic or a known publication journal where you can have them published. Also, the aspect of teaching, which can also come handy when you're applying for teaching assistantship. You can also, I think, Sister Nkechi or Ms. Nkechi has already talked about that, and I don't want to be repeating that. So back to after I went for my NYC, that was where I actually met Wisdom, and we were together there. I was actually teaching in a primary school, and I think that kind of gave me more time to be able to prepare for my GRE. After the NYC, I went back into research. I joined the group Center for Energy Efficiency and Conservation at the University of Lagos. I continued research there up until I got admitted, and I also got funding. But getting admission was quite easy, but the funding was a difficult part of it. I started applying to the United States in 2018. 2017, actually. I started applying to different schools 2017. I got loads of admissions, but the problem was the funding. Up until 2019, that was when I was able to secure a source of fund, like a full teaching assistantship fund in Middle Tennessee State University, which I'm going to just shed a little light on that. Now I'm at Tennessee Tech. I actually transferred from Middle Tennessee State University. I did one semester at Middle Tennessee State University. And I'm saying this to just kind of buttress the point that when we have a goal or a target, at times our plan or the strategy we want to adopt might not actually really work at that point in time, but there are ways we can take a different route to actually get to that goal. So for instance, at Middle Tennessee State University, I wasn't really doing mechanical engineering, which is the course of study I'm doing right now. I was doing engineering technology, which in some way is kind of related, but that was not my goal. That was not my plan. So, but I got in there. Like I say, it's you have so many opportunities when you come here first, and from there you can start exploring every other advantages that you have. So at Middle Tennessee State University, I was there for a semester, and from there I was able to transfer here. And what are the opportunities I had? I could come to Tennessee Tech and talk to professors one-on-one and make them understand that I'm here. I don't have to go through the visa route and stuff like that. And I was able to convince them. I had a very good grade in my first semester. I shared that with them, and at the end of the day, I was hired as a research assistant. And I think that's probably going to wrap up my story about the funding and how I got to Tennessee Tech. And thankfully, I was able to finish my master's quickly. I was able to finish my master's in in 3 semesters, and this semester I'm starting my PhD. So that's just a brief summary of my story, and I think by the time I get into the question, I'll be able to tackle more of our questions individually, and I hope that's going to be of help. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here with you guys again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, James Oyetoro. Okay, Uzi, yeah, I saw you said you want to go very soon, but before you go, can you just take some more questions that was allocated to you?
Yeah, sure.
So let me get, yeah, okay. So let me get those questions so you could look at them. Okay, someone asked here, said, how can one secure a mentor in the school he intends to apply to for a postgraduate study?
Okay. For that one, let's assume if you're applying for a master's degree, that probably would not come into play. That would happen after you've gotten into the university. And then you can identify, in fact, universities, they would assign a mentor to you. For as a master's student, you'll be assigned a postgraduate mentor, and that would be a lecturer, and that's the person that'll be like your main point of contact in the university. For a PhD, though, some schools will require that you identify a PhD supervisor before you apply to their program. So the way to do that would be to go to the departmental website. That's the department that you'll be applying to. Look at the board, the teaching, the list of faculty members, and you see each faculty member will have a little bio page where they would say what areas of research they are interested in, what kind of stuff they do, if they supervise PhD students, if they are open to supervising PhD students. And so you look through those bios and see which one kind of aligns the most with what you want to do. And then what you do is you email that person, and the email is always very like, courteous and professional. And you say something along the lines of, I'm thinking of applying to a PhD program in this department, and I've looked through and I see that my research area, aligns with yours. And would you mind if I send you my research proposal for you to have a look at? And then if the person responds and be like, okay, you could send it, then you could send your research proposal, and they would have a look at that. And that's how you kind of build that relationship. For some other schools, they would not necessarily want you to have it secure the supervisor before you start your PhD. One will be assigned to you when you begin. So it kind of varies from place to place. And so, yeah, on the website of the school, you would find the information that you need. I think one of the other ones I got was what are the deliberate engagements that can help improve one's profile for scholarships? To be fair with this one, I really don't know how to approach it. Deliberate engagements. Okay, so I know for some of the big scholarships, like the Chevening ones and the Commonwealth ones, people who have gotten those scholarships before, they usually have these information sessions that they hold, and I think that might be applicable to other scholarship, other forms of scholarship. So they hold this information session where they kind of tell people what they did to get those scholarships, or how they tailored their essays or things like that. So I would say maybe finding out if any of those sort of information sessions are holding might be a good place to start. LinkedIn is also a good place to go. If you go on LinkedIn, you can just search in like, Commonwealth scholarship, 7 scholarship, whatever scholarship you have in mind, and a list of people who've gotten those scholarships would pop up, and then you can send them messages. And obviously your message should just go straight to the point and be like, okay, I'm thinking of applying to this scholarship. What advice do you have for me? Or if you could take out some time to talk to me, anything like that. So I think those are like deliberate engagements you can do, but most schools will prohibit you from contacting, let's say, people in the admissions office to kind of lobby. You can't lobby for these things. It's usually purely on merit, but these are the kind of steps you can take if you want some guidance to improve your chances. Yep. Is there any other question I need to answer, Wisdom?
Yeah, okay, so I just want to add a little bit to the deliberate engagements that can help improve one's profile. So I think whosoever the person is, will have to be looking at engaging in probably more volunteering. You can volunteer more, have more volunteer experience. You could also feature in more leadership activities and things that will portray your leadership abilities. And you could take some more professional courses online, probably in the area of in your chosen program. So you could be looking at that. But I think overall you have to be looking at personal development. Yeah, personal development, very important. So in any wise you could develop yourself either professionally, educationally, taking more courses, volunteering more, taking up more leadership positions. And also for leadership also, you may not really need to take up a leadership position. It could just be that, oh, you've been in a particular place, you've been in a particular situation, and what you are is a problem solver. You love to solve problems. That's actually who leaders are. If you are planning to apply for a scholarship like Chevening scholarship, one of the questions they ask is on leadership. Is on leadership. They want to know about your leadership skills, your potentials. At what point did you find yourself? What was the situation? What was the action you took? How were you able to influence other people to get a problem solved that you notice in your community or anywhere it was? So I think such a person should be looking at more engagement in leadership, more engagement in volunteering, and probably taking more professional courses. And also, maybe you've graduated and you didn't publish your work in a journal. I think you could also be looking around that area. That could also help you, even while you're reaching out to professors. You could tell them, okay, this is who I am, this is what I have done, and all of that. You make yourself interesting. Actually, if you go on LinkedIn and you want to prospect people and reach out to people in different schools, maybe countries you wish to study in, you also need to be an interesting person, because when you reach out to them via LinkedIn, they will look at your profile and they expect at least some level of, there's something actually that they expect, because those people you are reaching out to in other countries, they're actually high performing scholars, and that's what took them to where they are. So they would also expect something interesting about you that will show to them that, oh, okay, this guy if I choose to help him, he's somebody that we can work together with, or somebody that can pick up so fast and gets to where he's heading to. Okay, so that's that. So I think there's still one more question.
Sure, I can
Let
take
me
that just
see.
before I leave.
Yeah. Someone said, I want to get funding and scholarships to do graduate studies in data science. I also want to learn how to write SOP and how admission process works for USA and Canadian schools. Okay. So I think, you can just talk a bit about that, but those in the US can equally throw more light on the admission process for US. I think Kechi also made mention of that, but you can go ahead.
Yeah, I think for the scholarship ones, I think we've spoken quite a lot about that, which is mostly about, finding that information online and looking for what's on the school's website, especially for data science. I mean, that's quite specific. So you would have to see what's available school by school, or what organizations or private foundations have available. Also for Canada, US, I don't know so much about that. So I would leave that to those who are actually in the US to respond to. And then for the statement of purpose, I believe Nkechi had already spoken about that, or is this a different question regarding the statement of purpose?
Yeah. Nkechi made mention of that. But finally, before you go, someone also said, how do I study and apply for IELTS or TOEFL? Maybe the person is talking about some resources in terms of websites, books, and all of that.
Yeah, okay, what I'll do, I have this private resource I had put together for IELTS and TOEFL. I'll share the link with you later and you could put that up. But then with IELTS and TOEFL, most times when you register for these exams, they do have resources already that they share with the people who've registered. And it would include, like, you know, some prep. Sometimes there's even a software that lets you kind of practice a mock version of the exam before the exam day. But then aside from that, there are loads of materials, most of them free. I think nobody should have to, aside from what you pay to register for the exam, you shouldn't have to pay to get materials to prepare for the exams, because there are loads of resources available online. And also there are people who have taken out the time to create like Google Drives, depositories for different things they've used to prepare for these exams. I have access to one of those which I can share, but these are, I think NairaLand is actually a very good place to find this information, to be honest. So on NairaLand, there is a thread that there are lots of resources there for preparing for IELTS and TOEFL. But Wisdom, I'll send you the link much later and you could disseminate that.
Okay. Thank you, Zomaka.
So thanks everyone. It was really good for me to be here. I just have to jump onto another meeting and it's been really great. And I wish everybody like the best with all they are doing. And yeah, I'll share my email with Wisdom. And if you need any help or anything, you could just send me an email.
Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you, Zomaka.
Bye-bye.
Once again.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Okay. Okay, so let's have some more questions for okay, while we are ahead of, like, while we are looking at the questions, if you still have questions, you can drop them either on the YouTube live stream, or you could drop them on the chats here on Zoom, or you can raise up your hand so that would give you the opportunity to ask your question. So now, James, we have some questions here for you. The first is, what are the things you would recommend for a first-class mechanical engineering student hoping to apply to Ivy League schools in the United States and having 1 year for preparation? So, James, you would take that.
Thank you. I think one of the eyeside of the fact of this is the fact that the person is on a first class, and I believe the person is going to be able to maintain that till you're able to graduate. So applying to an Ivy League school is it's a very good one, and it's something that one needs to really put so much effort into. So one of the eyeside of it is the exams you'll be taking, the GRE and the TOEFL. One has to have a very high score on those exams, and one way to have a feel of the expected score you are supposed to have is to go to the website of the schools, and there are some that they have this algorithm that is going to show you the average score of the candidates they've admitted over a period of years. Some might put it there for 5 years, and from there you can have a feel of what your target should be. And aside acing exams and having high scores or high grades on those exams, one must be able to do research. I mean, high standard research that has high impact in whatever field one is going to be publishing those results. So if the person hasn't started doing any form of research, I would advise such an individual to take consideration into that. See the way you can join yourself with a research group wherever you are, and get yourself involved in 1 or 2 researches, get yourself writing research papers and trying to publish them. And if one is able to do all this, and with the high scores acing the exams, person has a very good chance of getting admitted. And one good thing about Ivy League schools is with admission, most of them with admission comes funding. If you are not going to be admitted, then so it's more or less like when you get admitted, definitely they're going to fund you, because those schools are highly competitive, and most of the time they are very expensive. So they know, as an international applicant, when you apply to such positions, with the admission automatically comes the funding. So, and I wish the person best of luck.
Yeah, thank you, James. Yeah, so one of the panelists just joined us some few minutes ago, and yeah, I would like to have him, Nwosu Joseph. Yeah, we can have you now. You can speak to us.
Okay. Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm so sorry for joining late. I thought I told you about that appointment that wasn't decided yet.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Okay. So is it okay if I work without the video?
Okay, so you are just joining us. Yeah. Other panelists have spoken. They've introduced themselves, and they've told us a lot about what it means to study in the US and other countries, what it takes, their own scholarship journey and story, the persistence and all of that. So I would just like you to briefly tell us about yourself, where you are studying, how you got to where you are, the things you needed to do intentionally, networks you needed to gain, and all of that. So just tell us about your story. It might inspire someone. Thank you.
Okay, I'll run through that briefly. Hello, guys. My name is Joseph Nwosu. I'm a PhD candidate in polymer engineering at the University of Akron, Ohio. So basically, the journey to graduate school for me began when I knew I had to further my education in polymer engineering. The motivation for this came because while studying at the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Imo State, we are luckily the moderator here, Ifiok, used to be my coursemate then. So here we attest to the fact that most of the courses that most of our classmates then they understand what polymer were. So that was my motivation to try to further down into this field to get more insight aside from what I get at Futo. So after that, I think the first thing I did was to search for schools. Searching for schools over here, I saw a good number of them with different requirements. And owing to the fact that I searched during the COVID period, I realized that most of the schools with the GRE for the 2021 fall section. So I applied without the GRE, but I had to write the TOEFL test. So the TOEFL test was a requirement for me to be funded. So that was a great requirement. So I had to write that. And after I applied to a number of schools too, but University of Akron came through in the end with funding, and the some of the important documents that I noted was you have to write a good SOP. I'm sure other panelists must have mentioned that you really need to hit your statement of purpose because during after submitting my application and being invited by a few number of the faculty, I had a live Zoom interview with them. They basically ran through my SOP, asking different questions about different stages of my academic life. So I think that's the place future applicants really need to work on. You don't just draft an SOP just like that. It has to be interesting. It has to be intriguing. It has to carry the whole passion, the whole motivation behind why you want to go to graduate school. You don't just run through your SOP because it's like a letter that you are writing to your next door neighbor. That's basically one of the best documents for applying to graduate school. Of course, other documents are also important. Things like the the TOEFL, the reference letters, which is to be written by your academic referees. The other documents, they are just about it. Probably the next one that will also happen is the CV. You probably want to know that most of the functions, most of the accolades you listed in your CV were actually due to you. Because one thing is sure, if you lie in any of them and you are invited probably for an interview, you might not be able to defend it as good as you would have while you were writing it. So that's one thing to take note of. But everybody's story is different. So you need to make sure that you key into your own unique story so that you don't sound like someone else. I had a story of somebody who got admitted into the USAS, and when he shared his SOP with some of his friends who coincidentally department with him, they didn't really understand why he shared that with them. They just listed everything and applied to the same department. That's typically plagiarism. So while you're getting documents from different people, asking for help, direction, and everything, please make sure that you don't copy. People will help you, people will send you documents for you to see what it looks like. It doesn't mean that you have to copy. It doesn't mean that you have to just edit their names and put in yours. That is laziness. So once you do that, you might be so lucky, you might be unlucky, but when that catches up to you in any of your applications, believe me, that should be the end of the journey, because I'm definitely sure that no school wants mediocre candidates over here. So while preparing your application, you just need to be sure. I think the only challenging place there is actually for schools, writing your SOP and getting your referees to write to you a reference letter that has what it takes for you to be looked at and maybe know that you are a worthy candidate to be awarded admission and furthermore a scholarship. I don't know if there are specific questions that I need to answer for now, moderator.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Joseph. So you just have to hold on. We'll go over to Nkechi. So she will just have to answer some of her questions. Yeah, so Nkechi, let's look at one other question. Now, can one write multiple professors in the same institution?
Okay. All right. Someone is asking if they can write more than one professor in the same institution. I wouldn't say no, but I would advise to avoid to timing people, because um, they are in the same institution, especially if they are in the same department, the same program you are intending to apply to. So you can apply, contact two different professors, but make sure to be straightforward with them, and if possible, even mention that you don't want to come in between people, because obviously they talk among themselves. So you don't want to look like a desperate person or an insincere person, that you would tell one person one thing and tell another person another thing. So I would say to be careful doing so. But if you're interested, if that research interests match your own, yes, go ahead and contact them. Maybe one at a time. When you get a response from one and it's not favorable, you can now go to the next person. That's what I would advise.
Okay, thank you. I think James wants to add to that. Yeah, James.
All right. So as regards sending emails to professors, uh, there are schools that they have a kind of large faculty. You might have like close to 20, 30 professors in the department. So, and there's a possibility that a chunk of them might fall into a particular research group that you're interested in. So I think one can go ahead to send mails to more than one of them, but one should be able to know at what point is going to be too much, because like Nkechi said, they are in the same faculty and they're in the same program, the same department, and at times these people they talk. And that still comes down to the content of your mail. If your mail portrays someone who is zealous and actually really serious about the graduate degree, and you're able to put out there your strong points and why you think you should be hired, at times it comes to even having to make decision between 2 or 3 professors who are ready to hire you and fund your education. And I want to also assume, and I believe that when one contacts professors, mostly is for you want to be able to secure a research assistantship position, because these professors when they are hired, they have what they call the startup fund. And sorry, I'm just going to add a little of the knowledge I've been able to gather since I've been here. So another trick to making sure that you increase your chances of getting funded is when you get on the website and you see a designation like assistant professor, and if it's good enough, those universities actually put the year that person is hired into the university. So for every new professor that is hired into university, you have what is called a startup fund. So you're likely going to increase your chances of getting funded by that person than talking to someone who probably has been there for so many years and they're not really interested in getting funding to the university. Let's take for an example, an assistant professor that just been hired and has a startup fund that can actually cater for like 3 or 4 students, compared to a professor that spent like almost 20 something years in the university. The professor that has spent 20 something years in the university already has a pedigree. He has already established his name. So most especially, maybe at that time, he's just taking up administrative positions like director, sub-dean, and stuff like that. So he might not be concentrating more on research, but for the assistant professor, he has a startup fund, your research goal aligns with his, and they are ready to work, then you have an increased chance of you getting funded by that individual. But back to the question, one should know at what point it's going to be too much in terms of reaching out to professor. But what's important is the content of your mail and what you're portraying should pronounce or project you as someone who is serious, who is ready, and who is going to join the group and is going to add a positive thing to the research group. Thank you.
Let me
Okay,
quickly
thank
add one thing to that.
Okay.
On some schools' website, I think they will specify that, not all schools though, they will specify that you don't need to mail professors. So you should really read across the website before you conclude that you need to start mailing professors in the departments. That's one tiny bit of information I have to add.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Yeah, so from the YouTube, someone is asking, anyone can take this question. A third class graduate seeking to get admission outside Nigeria for postgraduate studies, how possible is this? And how easy is it for the person to get funding as well? We're talking about a third class graduate seeking admission outside Nigeria. So anyone can take this question.
Did you say third class? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Third class.
Did you say
Third
third?
class? Yeah, third class.
Okay, that's a pretty tricky one. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
things that can help in that aspect is obviously the great point is the GPA is low, but obviously it's not impossible. I guess starting with the reevaluation of probably that GPA with West, that can add. And invariably, if the person has some years of reasonable experience and in addition probably has gone on to do masters or has published papers after graduation, even if there's no masters, I think these two can cater for like make up for that low GPA, that third class. That goes on to show that you didn't give up after your undergraduate study. You went on to better yourself. You went on to immerse yourself with probably publications and then get some reasonable working experience. I mean, working experiences and research works like publications really go a long way to show that you're not a lazy person, irrespective of the GPA that you graduated with. So I advise the person to reevaluate their GPA with West and get some working experience, as well as go out of their way, attach themselves to the university professor or a doctor in the university. Make sure probably get one or two publications to their name, because these will serve as backups when you're actually trying to compete out there. Either the third class is a poor GPA, but it's not the end of the world. So you need to work extra hard to actually make sure that they see you as a reasonable and a competitive candidate too. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joseph. Yeah, we just have 8 minutes to the close of the event. Definitely time is not sufficient. However, we'll still see if we could take some more questions quickly. Yeah, so Joseph, um, sorry, let me get your questions. Okay, someone said, can someone, these are just general questions, can someone with a 2-2 qualify for master's degree and get scholarship as well? And the other question is, how do I easily secure scholarships abroad? I think I would also appreciate, before you answer that question, if anybody has maybe you have some resources like websites. If there are some websites you have that you could share, I think that would also be of help, because a lot of people are asking, how do I go about scholarships? How do I check up the schools? How do I know if there is funding in this school and all of that? So I think in addition to people going to the Google to ask questions, search for schools, I think there should also be websites that are just specific for maybe schools in different countries. They list them out and probably talk about them. So if anybody has such a resource, I think that would really be of help. So yeah, Joseph, you may go ahead.
Okay, thank you. About the resources, I'm going to talk about the US. I know about the usnews.com. I know about Princeton Reviews. I also know about universities.com. These three websites, once you key in your discipline, it's going to bring out a list. It's going to arrange it for you, and then you start making your pick. Anyone you click, you're going to see
Can
general
you
requirements.
come again with the sites so that I
Okay, the
can
first one is
display it on the screen?
usnews.com.
Okay, usnews.com. Okay. I hope
You
we
can
can
also use
see it.
Prince. Can I continue? Yeah, cool.
Okay,
The second one is
continue.
Princeton Reviews.
Okay, could you
Princeton
spell, please?
Reviews. Princeton Reviews. Then you add reviews.com.
Okay,
Then universities.
princetonreviews.com.
Yeah. Then universities.com.
Universities.
Yeah. These are all popular websites.com.
Universities.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all popular websites that they can look up stuff on. And what other question did you ask? About the 2-2 guy. 2-2 is it's very close to first class. Might probably be a difference of 0.0 something. So sure, the 2-2 guy has a very big chance of landing both admission and scholarship. It always depends on the add-ons. The add-ons to your degree results. You should have things you are offering. So whether it be GRE, the TOEFL, the publications, the working experiences, the teaching experiences, all this can add up to you getting both admission and scholarship.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Our time is fast spent. We have just 4 minutes to be out of this call. So I think I would gather the remaining questions and I would send it to the panelists. They would respond to me, and trying to figure out how I would respond to those who asked the questions. Yeah, okay, I would drop my mail. What happens is I would drop my mail here. So you could send the questions directly to my mail. I believe we got a mail from gradscholar2021@gmail.com. So, okay, let me put it on the screen for everyone to see. So, okay, so while I'm doing that, let's just have final words, but you would see the email pop up on the screen. So you can send your questions to that email address. So I would forward it to the panelists, and when they are done answering it, I would respond to them. So I think from Nkechi, let's just have final words.
Okay, so my final words are just to encourage you that put in the effort and you will get somewhere.
What did you forget?
To ask and you will receive. So once you ask and keep
Good night.
pursuing and working towards it, you will definitely receive your desires. So can you hear me?
Sorry, can you mute yourself, Glory? And okay. Please, if you are not speaking, can you mute yourself so that we can hear the speaker? Matthew Kinola, can you mute yourself? Adekboju, can you mute yourself so that we can hear the speaker clearly? Thank you. Please, you can go ahead, Nkechi.
Yeah, so I was saying, with all the information you've got here today, you put it into practice and reach out to us also if you have questions. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So can we have final words from James? Yeah, James, are you there? Okay, let's have final words from Nwosu Joseph. Thank you.
Okay, guys. I just want you guys to know that everything is possible if you put in the work and pray. The journey to the scholarship and admission will probably cost you a few bucks. So just have it at the back of your mind that you're going to spend some amount of money to land the big fish. So as you're putting together your application documents and everything, you also find a way to get some sort of finance to, pay for the few expenses that you encounter in the journey. I wish everybody well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. Yeah, I think every other person is out of the call. Or is there anyone that have not mentioned? Okay, Dare is out. James is out of the call. Lucy is out. Okay, so yeah, final words have come from the panelists to everyone. I hope we learned a lot during this session. So I'm gonna drop a link. I will drop a link for feedbacks. Yeah, please, I really appreciate and I value your feedbacks. It's gonna help in organizing some more webinars, because this is what we plan to do this monthly. So we would need your feedbacks to look at the areas that it's pressing to you. so we could get scholars to come speak on those areas. So I would drop that link for, if I can't drop it now, and I will send it to your mail. Please do well to respond to that feedback form. And also I dropped my mail here, gradscholar2021 at gmail.com. So you can still do well to reach out if you have any questions, or if you asked a question here that was not attended to, please drop it, just send it to that mail. We would attend to it. And finally, please, on the YouTube channel, for those that are on Zoom call, please subscribe to my channel. It's very important to us, so that we'll be able to bring more of this to you. And also you can check up some of the videos. So like I said, if you check up that channel on, that's Grad Scholar on YouTube, you would see one of the videos about writing a perfect statement of purpose. So I believe that would be of help. And I think someone asked a question around Chevening essay or Chevening scholarship. So you could also check up that you would see some powerful tips that would help you land the Chevening scholarship. So I think that would be all for now. I want to appreciate everyone for finding time to be on this call. I appreciate the panelists, different countries, different time zones, but they were able to make time to be here. So thank you so much, everyone. So we look forward to having another webinar like this by next month, but that is going to depend on the feedbacks I have from you guys. So that's why I really want everyone to cooperate and just help me fill the feedback form, so we know how to tailor content that will suit your needs in your journey for scholarship abroad. So thank you so much once again, and yeah, have a nice time. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.